Hi there, welcome back, and thanks so much for staying tuned to the Money Show. You're watching ET Now. I'm now being joined by my second guest for the day, and that's Roongta, founder, Fee Only Investment Advisors. Mr. Roongta, glad to have you back on the show today, and thanks so much for joining us. Let's talk about debt and the stigma that surrounds the word debt, because every time someone hears the word debt, there is such a negative shade of emotion that comes across that word and comes around that word. So help us understand, Mr. Roongta, why not all debt is bad, and how would you differentiate between what could be good debt and what could be bad debt to take on?
So, first of all, I think the word debt itself, as you rightly said, has some negative connotation. Instead of that, if we use the word loan, I think that is probably got far more positive connotations. The loans are basically a very necessary grease for the wheels of civilization to turn fast. We've come where we have come, and I think loans have played a very large part in that. So loans, as you said, can be good, can may not be so good. It's like any other instrument. Uh, One way to distinguish good loans from not so good loans would be to use what I call the double A principle. The loan should add either to your asset or to your income. One of the two it should add. And importantly, it should be appropriate. So let's pick up the two A's. The first A, adding to your asset. So, a home loan, for example, you buy a asset with it, and therefore, it's a good loan provided it's appropriate. Second, adding to income. So, a business loan that allows you to earn more than the rate of interest that you pay, or maybe an education loan that allows you to, earn more in the future. Now, those add to your income, again, provided they are appropriate. The appropriateness, which, not too much importance is paid to, I think is very important. And the greatest way to judge it is that all your loan repayments put together should not typically exceed one third of your income. When you take a loan, essentially you are, using instant gratification today, and in lieu of that, you are giving up your income for the future. Now, that should not be more than one third, and that's a good way to, it's a good proxy for measuring appropriateness. So, as long as it adds to your asset or adds to your income and is appropriate. And you can quibble with it whether a car loan does not add to an asset. But given the state of public transport in India, in most cities, if you don't have your own transportation, you may not be really be able to earn income, and therefore it adds to income. And as long as it is appropriate, it is fine. And you can keep stretching that framework to the point of it breaking. But essentially, the double A framework is a good framework to distinguish between good loans and not so good loans.
All right, Mr. Roongta, point well taken. Thanks for that explanation. Now, my next question to you is, once someone has a loan, and we're aware that there are two types of repaying this loan, right? There's a bottom-up approach and there's a top-down approach. So, take us through both of these approaches, and which one would you prefer if you had any debt on your head, and how would you like to repay that?
So basically, if I have a loan and I need to repay it, uh, I think the key thing to do is to repay the expensive loans first. And we see situations where clients have fixed deposits on one side, and they have loans on the other. Now that, to me, is a not a great way to do financial planning, because you're lending money to one bank at a lower rate and borrowing from another bank at a higher rate. So first of all, never have that. So if you have some fixed income bearing investments, use them to first pay off the loans. pay off the more expensive loans. And typically that would mean your credit card debt, it would mean your unsecured loans. They tend to be more expensive. And a great way for resourcing, as I said, for paying back those loans would be to take a top up loan on your, if you have a home loan, you can take a top up loan. And today you get these offset loans, which allow you to keep monies deposited in a linked savings account. And to the extent of that money deposited in the savings account, it is not, the interest is not charged on that. So effectively on that, you are getting the interest rate that the loan is charging. And that is a very powerful way. So if you have some fixed deposit, use it to repay the loan, use it to repay the loan through this, say linked savings account, which you can withdraw anytime you want. So you have the liquidity, but you get high interest on it. So to summarize, pay more expensive loans first, which would typically mean credit cards or unsecured loans. Use your fixed income bearing
Right.
investments first, and take a top up loan on your home loan if you have to.
All right, Mr. Roongta, thanks so much for joining us today and taking the time to explain our viewers about the intricacies around debt. But viewers, I'm afraid with that, that's all the time we had on this edition of The Money Show. Thanks so much for staying tuned. You stay tuned for more news and updates.